All right, this just in from Nashville Tactical Lounge. I have been very much looking forward to this one ever since I saw one of the early reviews on it. They were kind of hard to get for a while. They seem to be more available now. But this is going to be an unboxing that is very outside of what I normally get in terms of knives, which is cool. I think we had, it was Thunderlight or one of the other subscribers say, I love videos when people get knives they don't know well. So I started down that path. I have a few that are inbound right now. And this is one of them. This is something outside of what I would normally get. It's definitely not something I would carry. Man, that is a cool box. But this is something that stood out to me as being very compelling. And the Microtech Anax is particularly compelling to me because it's fully inlaid titanium integral. It is just an exciting knife. Carbon fiber inlay, blue titanium pivot collar. Let's just stop talking about it. This is one of those knives. First of all, I want to say this box is really cool. So nice job, Microtech. That is really a nice looking box. I really like that. It's a pretty unique knife. You don't get integrals in this price range often. This is kind of a cool booklet. I haven't really seen something like that before, at least not done that way. That's disappointing. I hope that didn't lead to scratching, because these are, I'm gonna take a quick picture of that actually. But this is something that, sorry about the weight there for the picture. Something that's super exciting. I hope that didn't scratch anything on the knife. I'm gonna have to take a look at it after, since those came out of there. But just a really unique one. And that's the first thing I noticed right away. Hey, buddy.
Mom asked you.
Okay, you can tell Mom I'm doing a video right now. Thank you. Family always takes precedent, even over knives. So sorry about that double delay there, but yeah, one of the things I noticed really quickly here is there's something on there. I think it is probably just some oil. Looks like some finishing oil on there. But wow, the first thing I noticed when I did that, by the way, was how smooth that detent is. Super impressive. At the top, not quite as decisive, but coming out of here, it was just very smooth. That was just kind of shocking. I did not expect that. I was expecting this to be a little different than it is, but wow, what a interesting detent there. I mean, first try out of box. That's super cool. I'm not going to try and thumb flick this for sake of not ending up in the hospital on the video. Carbon fiber is like a little weird looking to me. There's a little bump in it here, as you know, defined by the knife, but it's also just a little weird looking. Like, you know, I'll put a comparison in here. I don't have it right here. I'm going to pull out the Demko carbon, but it's not in the room right now, or at least not easily accessible. Love the contrast on the other side. Very funky pocket clip. I don't know if that's a functional front flipper. Probably not functional for me, but someone cooler than me might be able to use that. But I don't think you need it. This is just one of those knives that is really easy to deploy with, for me, like one of my favorite ways, because I think this is less natural than, I don't know if that's correct, but I love finger flick. I love a good spidey flick. So let's give it a little cleaning here so we can really see it well, and then take a look up close. Yeah, I'd say one of the surprising things is this is almost like a raw looking carbon fiber. So I don't know if it's meant to be that way. I'm not putting my actual eyes on it, so let me put it out in front of the light. But it's almost kind of flawed. So I don't know if that's a flaw or if it's supposed to be that way, but I'm gonna definitely do a little research and see if other people have similar, and maybe check with Microtech on that to see if that's kind of how that's supposed to be, because I've spent a lot of time around carbon fiber from being in the mountain bike world and stuff. And that's, you know, like usually when it's more damaged, it would look like that. So maybe that's just a intentional kind of rugged look. I could totally see that, but either way, it's definitely not like a big deal, but just a little different than what we're used to, I think, in typical finishings. So really like the frame lock on this one. I'm not always a big frame lock fan. I'm sorry, as you know, when I'm behind the video, I'm not terribly good at deploying my knives. I still need to figure out a better way to do that and position myself. But what I like about a knife that's really directed towards a finger flick or a spidey flick is that like it's taking your hand off of the frame lock more. Whereas a flipper tab frame lock, I'm not a big fan of because you're naturally going to want to hold and pinch the knife. So it means you're pinching the knife like this. And this is why, like, one of my big criticisms of most Hinderers and why I have some, but I'm not like the biggest Hinderer fan, is because I think that's kind of counterintuitive. And sorry, I just hit the box. Let's move the box over. By the way, if you're not familiar with what these are you know, these can basically plug in here and kind of play the lanyard role, which is not my thing. That looks like some sort of steampunk, like Mad Wolf or something like that. I don't know. It looks maybe something worse. If you were, depending where your brain goes there, that could be something worse than a steampunk animal. So not going to use that. I know a lot of people do love the lanyard concept, and for me personally, I wish these were sold extra and saved me the cost. It does make the knife kind of unique that it comes with them, but I would prefer reduce the cost of the knife and sell those as extras. I think that actually kind of make for a cool little secondary market for Microtech, and probably make this knife more accessible. I don't know, maybe these things are really cheap. I couldn't tell you. They don't feel like they're really cheap though. They look, I wonder if this is what that's made out of. Is that steel? Yeah, I mean, I think it's titanium. Hang on, do I have a more powerful magnet here? So anything titanium, you're gonna see like some screws and stuff probably activate this. The blade will activate it, right? Let's get the blade out of here. The titanium won't. So I think they might be titanium. So you can see how much research I did on this knife before I bought it. Don't even know if these are titanium or not. It does look like it's affecting it a little bit. So maybe it's just small, or maybe there's even hardware in there that's catching it and the rest of it's titanium. Could even be the wire part or something. Could just be I'm hitting it, I don't know. I think I may have just been hitting it there. I think that's probably what was happening as I was hitting it. So it's kind of hard. Yeah, maybe those are titanium. So if so, to me that's even worse because it probably costs more. It's cooler since I got it. If it's going to be included, I'm glad it's titanium, but I feel like that's one of those things that they could have omitted and then sold as like, if you want this. This is actually pretty cool to me. I mean, you don't want to lose the freaking thing, but that to me is a really cool kind of proprietary. I don't know. Not big on proprietary, but if I'm going to, like, I at least like that it looks like it's probably better than a Torx somehow. I don't know. I'd probably just rather it be a Torx, but this does look really cool. And if it's going to be proprietary, that's one of the cooler ones I've seen for sure. Just don't lose your box, right? So let me come around here. When you can see the two hands, it means I'm actually standing off to the side of the camera and I can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to try and go through this a few times because one of the things that made me hesitate here is having the single deployment method is not really my style. You can roll it out like this too, so that I'd probably call it 2 deployment methods. I'm sure people cooler than me can thumb flick this thing just fine, but like this is the primary deployment method of a knife like that, right, with that channel in there. So I wanted to see if I'm holding the knife properly and in a good position, like how consistently can I deploy it. So we're gonna go like 10 times in a row here. I just missed 1. I think that was 1 out of 5 that I missed, so call it 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7. Oops. So that was 6 out of 8, 7 out of 9, and 8 out of 10. So that's pretty good, because I'm not the best at this. There are a lot of people that are much better at actuating these than I am. Case in point. So yeah, I'd say like my initial impression is that's very good. Let's see what the knife is like once you actually have it out. It's a very big blade. It's a big knife, right? Like, let's do a little size comparison here. Here is the Rat 1, Ontario Rat 1. So very similar size there. You see a lot on the channel, my Demko 80-20.5, which would be a smaller knife. Similar, like not much bigger on the handle, but definitely bigger, much longer. Let's compare it to the clip point, since that's a better comparable. There's a titanium clip point. Even dollar-wise, this is a more comparable knife. So it's a pretty big knife, right? That's like a 3.5-inch blade. Probably an overall 8.5-inch knife or something like that. Bugout. Right, pretty good size knife here. It's what I expected. It was actually, this is a gateway into Medford. So I've been looking at Medfords, been wanting to get one, but you know, this is about half the cost of a, you know, I don't want to say an equivalent Medford, because these are not equivalent knives. This and a Medford are not equivalent in so many ways. But in terms of many elements, you could say, you know, this is kind of the concept behind a lot of the Medford knives with the channel and stuff. So it's funny, this gets here today because I did just come to an agreement on a really exciting Medford. I won't go through the model because I can't remember it off the top of my head, but have one incoming that I'm really excited about. That'll be really cool to get on the channel. So yeah, the quality is there. The feel of the D10, as I mentioned, was kind of like, it's really nice, because I think you need the D10 to be really good for this kind of, you know, if that's all you get for your deployment. And see if I can show you kind of how big that channel is there. If that's all you're going to get for your deployment, you really need, you know, that's as much purchase as you get. You really need the D10 to be right. If this had a Hinderer level D10 on it, I personally could not deploy it. I can barely deploy most Hinderers with, you know, a full thumb stud. So yeah, they did a good job of, and actually now that it's worked in a little bit, I mentioned it was a little, there's kind of like a 2-part. Yeah, you can see there's kind of like a 2-part detent and then lock at the top. That feels fine. Yeah, really nice, sweet knife. What a cool knife. I feel like this is one of those ones that's pushing the boundaries a little. It's kind of futuristic looking to me, and something I really wanted to get my hands on, so glad it ended up working out. I'll probably try and carry this as per what I was saying. So this would be carrying something I would not be normally carrying, and see what kind of impression that is, and then do a review video. But initial impression feels really good, if not better than I expected. See if it's centered. I actually think I saw a video on one of these that was not centered. This one looks either perfectly centered or close to it. Let's see how the lockup is at the top. Super solid. Feels like a really good knife. to me, this is kind of what I like about a Hinderer without the things I don't like. So, in fact, let's put it side by side with the Hinderer. How about that? Which one? Here's one here. I think they're very different, but at the same time, this is actually a really kind of competitive. Dollar-wise, they're actually almost the exact same. I think the Microtech is $450 MSRP and the Hinderer is $425. So these kind of compete for a similar business in a very different way. I also have a non-flipper in the mail that I'll do a review on. This is kind of, by the time this review's out, that review will be out, but this is one that I did a review on, and you can see me fuddling with the frame lock and stuff and giving all my feedback on why I wish it was different. But I have two of these. This one, so by the time that review is out, I don't think I'll have done, I haven't done the second review video. The second one was actually easier to actuate, where I can finger flick the second one. I cannot finger flick this one for the life of me, but I do have another one that I can, so it's kind of funny. And I've seen that, I think in Neve's Knives, he talks a lot about how his Hinderers have different behaviors from one another, but that's a really similar. This is a spear point tri-way stonewash blue. I do love the blue and blue. I wasn't so sure about this blue when I first got it, and I was thinking about changing the scales, but with the blue on the backside, it really pops. I don't know if it looks as good in the video as it does in person, but it's pretty cool in person. So this may be one that I carry as well. I may even do the recurve. So the other one that I have, I guess, I'll make sure and release these videos in the right direction or whatever, but I got this really smooth recurve that I got. And that is a blade shape I would not carry because that's not one I would want to sharpen. That looks sort of challenging to sharpen to me if I had to. But this one's super smooth. Of course, then I miss. Let me come around here again. Super smooth, where I can spidey flick it and finger flick it pretty well. It's definitely not every time, but this one feels much better. Like I did almost no pressure there. It just comes out of there much more easily than the other. So not sure why that is. What the differences are, if I just need to adjust this one, maybe I'll take it down and adjust it or something and see if I can make it perform better for me. But I'll try and carry one of these Hinderers as well. And yeah, final thoughts on the Microtech for now. Not final thoughts, but and final initial thoughts are really impressed. It's exactly what I hoped, if not a little better, and feels like it's going to be a fun one to put to the test and do more of I don't want to call it a long-term review, but a carry review on it and see what that's like to carry a knife like this. Actually, I don't remember what the weight was from the videos that I've watched of this either, so let me do a quick weigh-in on it as well before we finish. 5 ounces, so it's right up there with a Demko 8020S. I cannot stop tinkering with it. It's very fidgety. Not in the way that a Demko is, but in the way that you want to, I think personally, again, spidey flick, finger flick is really cool looking. I actually do it very poorly. I've seen people that do it and it looks cooler than when I do it. I look kind of lame when I do it. My finger sticks out all funny. I see a lot of people that load up and kind of looks like their whole hand goes out. Let me see if I can do that without launching the knife out of it. Both fingers kind of go out and it looks really cool. Mine is not the coolest of them, but hey, I am a dad, so whatever. Yeah, overall really like it. You know what, let's do a real quick close-up. Starting here and work our way along. It's cool that they have the date on there. I always appreciate that. M390, which I haven't even mentioned yet, but this is actually my first M390 knife. I've had a lot of 20CV. I have a 204P knife, but I actually have somehow never ended up with an M390 knife. So That's kind of cool and exciting. So this is one I've been excited about. I've been wanting to get this in hand, and yeah, and again, overall very pleased. Hope you enjoyed this initial review. Please like, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.